It was a quiet night in the countryside. The wind moved gently through the tall trees, and the stars were bright in the sky. Raymond sat alone in his small wooden house, reading an old book by the fireplace. He had always liked peace, away from the busy cities and noisy streets, but tonight was not like other nights. He heard a sound outside, soft at first, like someone crying. Raymond stood up slowly and listened. The sound came again, louder this time. A strange, high-pitched cry, not human, but not animal either, curious and a little worried. Raymond grabbed his flashlight and opened the front door. Cold air rushed in, and the strange sound hit him. Like a wave, it was close, maybe just beyond the trees. He followed it, heart beating faster with every step. After a few minutes, he saw something at the edge of the woods. A shape hunched over, holding something. It was not human, tall, thin, with silver blue skin and glowing eyes. An alien, something Raymond had only seen in movies. She looked weak, tired, her arms shaking as she held a small bundle close to her chest. Raymond froze, unsure what to do. The alien mother looked at him with wide, desperate eyes. Then slowly, she stepped forward and placed the bundle gently on Raymond's doorstep. She whispered something in a language he didn't understand. Her voice was soft, sad, like a goodbye. Then she turned and ran into the forest. Disappearing into the darkness, Raymond looked down at the bundle. It moved. He bent down and opened the cloth. Inside was a baby, alien like the mother. Small, with soft glowing skin and big bright eyes. The baby looked up at him and cried. Not loud, but full of fear and hunger. Raymond didn't know what to do. Should he call someone? Hide? Run? But something in him, a feeling deep in his heart, told him the baby needed help. So he picked the little one up and carried it inside. He wrapped the baby in a warm blanket and placed it near the fire. The baby stopped crying, as if it felt safe now. Raymond sat down, still confused. Why did the alien mother leave her baby with him? Why did she run away? And what was she running from? Before he could think more, he heard a noise again, not a cry this time, but a whisper, soft and broken. He rushed to the door and looked out. There, in the trees, just far enough to be hidden. In shadow he saw her, the alien mother, sitting on the ground, holding her side. She was hurt, bleeding from her leg, her breathing fast and shallow. Raymond stepped forward, but she raised a hand, warning him not to come closer. Her eyes were full of pain, but also fear. She looked up at the sky, as if watching for something. Then, deep in the forest, a loud sound broke the silence. A roar, low, heavy, and angry. It was not human, and it was coming closer. The alien mother turned toward the sound, shaking with fear. She pointed toward Raymond's house, then toward her baby inside. She was trying to protect the child, even if it meant facing whatever was chasing her. Raymond stood frozen. What was hunting her? Was it here on Earth? Had it followed her across the stars? The wind picked up, and the trees swayed as the roar came again, louder this time. The baby inside began to cry once more, sensing the danger. The alien mother looked back one last time, then vanished into the dark woods. Raymond turned and ran inside. Heart pounding, he locked the door, picked up the baby, and held it close. Whatever was out there, it wasn't friendly, and now he was part of something bigger, something not of this world. But he had made a choice. He would protect the baby, no matter what came next. Outside in the shadows, something moved, watching, waiting, hunting, asterisk. The night had never felt this long. Raymond sat in the corner of his small cabin, holding the alien baby close to his chest. Outside, the forest was quiet again, too quiet. Only the wind moved, whispering through the trees like a warning. The baby had stopped crying. It was sleeping now, but not peacefully. Its little body trembled sometimes, as if it could still feel the fear in the air. Raymond looked down at it and sighed. He had no idea what to do next. This was not a normal night. This was not a normal child, but it needed him. He looked toward the window. Dark shapes moved outside, but they were just shadows, or maybe not. He didn't know what was real anymore. Then a thought came to him. What if the mother was still alive? What if she was out there, hurt, alone, scared? Raymond stood up slowly. He wrapped the baby in a soft scarf and placed it in a warm basket near the fire. "Stay here," he whispered. Though he knew the baby couldn't understand, he grabbed his flashlight and stepped outside again. This time, the air felt heavier, like it was holding its breath. He walked carefully, following the path into the woods. The trees stood tall and silent, like ancient guards watching him pass. He searched for signs, broken branches, blood drops, anything. After a few minutes, he found them, a trail leading deeper into the forest. The same symbol the mother had drawn on his floor was carved into a tree, a circle with sharp lines through it. He didn't know what it meant, but it felt important. He kept walking, heart beating faster with every step. Then, behind a fallen log, he saw her, the alien mother, half-conscious, breathing fast. Her leg was bleeding badly, and her hands were shaking. Raymond rushed to her. She looked up, eyes wide with fear at first. But when she saw him, saw that he came back, her fear faded just a little. He knelt beside her. "I'm here," he said softly. She couldn't understand the words, but she understood the tone. She tried to speak, but only blood and breath came out. Raymond tore a piece of his shirt and wrapped it around her wound. He wasn't a doctor, but he had to try. The mother winced in pain, but she didn't pull away. She let him help slowly. He lifted her up. She was light, too light, like she hadn't eaten in days. She leaned on him, barely holding on, step by step. He carried her back through the woods. The stars above watched them in silence. Raymond felt like they were being judged by the sky, by the universe, but he didn't care. Back at the house, the baby cried out. The mother lifted her head weakly, her eyes searching. Raymond opened the door and brought her in. When she saw the baby safe and warm, a tear rolled down her cheek. She reached out and touched its tiny hand. For a moment, the world stopped. It was just a mother, a child, and a stranger who chose to care. Raymond made her a bed near the fire. He gave her water and covered her with a blanket. She looked at him with tired eyes and placed her hand on her heart. Then she pointed at him. A gesture of thanks, or maybe trust. Suddenly the baby made a sound. It wasn't a cry, but a soft hum, glowing lightly. The mother answered with the same hum. They were speaking, not with words, but with something deeper. Raymond watched, amazed, even across stars. Family was still family. Love still meant the same thing. He turned away to give them privacy, but as he did, a light flashed outside the window, a red, blinking light. Raymond stepped closer and saw it, floating above the trees. A small orb, watching the house, scanning it with cold blue lasers. Not human, not safe. Raymond's chest tightened. It had found them. Whatever was chasing the alien mother, it was here, and now it knew where they were. For the first time in his life, Raymond felt like someone was watching him from the sky. Not a person, not a plane, but something cold, quiet, and full of hunger. The red light outside had vanished, but the feeling in his chest remained. Tight knot, a warning that this was only the beginning. Inside, the fire crackled softly. The alien mother lay asleep, her breathing shallow but steady. The baby curled next to her, glowing faintly, calm again. Raymond sat on the floor near them, his eyes heavy but his mind still awake. He had so many questions. Who were they running from? Why Earth? Why him? He looked at the strange cuts on her arms, glowing just under the skin like light trapped in glass. Her body was different, but her pain was not. She had bled, cried, and risked her life for her child. That was something any good mother would do, no matter what world she came from. As morning light broke through the window, Raymond got up and walked to the kitchen. He made warm soup, even though he wasn't sure if she could eat it. He placed it beside her and waited. After a few minutes, her eyes slowly opened. She looked around. Panic first, then relief. Her baby was still safe. Raymond smiled and pointed to the bowl. "Food," he said gently. "For you." She sat up with effort and touched the bowl. The steam touched her face, and she closed her eyes for a moment. Then, carefully she took a sip. Her face changed. Confusion, then warmth. It wasn't just food, it was kindness. Raymond sat beside her. The baby reached up toward him, tiny fingers wiggling in the air. Raymond offered a hand, and the baby gripped it. It was the first time the alien mother didn't flinch when he touched her child. That afternoon, something strange happened. The mother picked up a small wooden stick and began drawing on the floor. She drew her planet, 2 suns, tall silver trees, a sky filled with stars. Then she drew black shapes falling from the sky, ships with sharp wings and red lights. They were attacked, hunted, destroyed. She circled herself and the baby with a symbol, like a broken circle, then pointed at the sky above them, and finally at Earth. She had escaped with her child, and come here to hide. Raymond sat in silence. He understood only part of it, but it was enough. She wasn't just lost, she was a refugee, a survivor. That night, while they all rested near the fire, a soft beep echoed from outside. Raymond jumped up and opened the door just a crack. A strange object had landed in the grass, a round floating sphere the size of a football. It blinked with blue lights, scanning the area. A drone. Raymond turned to see the mother already standing. Weak but alert, she looked at the drone, then at him, her face full of fear. She shook her head quickly and pulled him back from the window. She made a slicing motion across her throat and pointed at the drone. It meant danger. Raymond didn't wait. He grabbed a blanket and ran outside, throwing it over the drone. It beeped louder, spinning fast. Trying to escape, he slammed it to the ground and crushed it with a heavy rock. Sparks flew as the lights died out. Back inside, the mother was holding her baby close. She looked at Raymond like he had just saved them again. She pointed at him, then to a symbol on the floor, a star with a shield. She believed he was her protector now. Raymond wasn't sure what he had gotten himself into, but he knew this much: the enemy had found them. And it would not stop. He sat down and stared into the fire. He wasn't a soldier, not a hero. He was just a man with a cabin and a heart that refused to turn away. But maybe, just maybe, that was enough. As the baby slept, glowing softly, and the mother rested beside it, Raymond made a quiet promise to himself. "I won't let anything take you," he whispered. "Not from this world, not from any other." Outside in the woods, a new red light blinked. Once, then vanished. Watching, waiting, learning. The morning came without a sound. No birds, no wind, no life, just silence. Heavy and unnatural, like the earth itself was holding its breath. Raymond stepped outside. Blinking in the gray light, the trees stood still, not a single branch moved. Something had changed. The broken drone still lay in the grass, half buried in mud from the night rain. Raymond stared at it, remembering the sparks, the fear, and the way the alien mother had looked at him, not with panic anymore, but something deeper, trust. He picked up the drone's shattered shell and brought it inside. The alien mother sat up when she saw it, her eyes narrowing. She pointed to the broken machine, then pressed her hands together with force. The message was clear. More would come. They always come in numbers. Raymond placed the drone on the table and began to study it. Wires, crystals, smooth metal, nothing like human tech, but there was something blinking inside, still active, still alive. A tiny blue spark pulsing like a heartbeat. Suddenly, the drone beeped once, and a hologram appeared above it. It showed a cold, silver face, sharp, alien, unblinking. Then came the voice, not loud, but smooth and clear. "You are sheltering fugitives," it said. "You are being watched." Raymond froze. The mother grabbed her baby and backed away. Eyes wide with fear, the voice continued. "Return them, and you will not be harmed. Protect them, and Earth will not be spared." The hologram disappeared, and the drone's spark went dark. Raymond looked at the mother. Then at the child, they were shaking. Not just because of the message, but because they had heard this voice before. It was the voice of the enemy. Raymond stood still for a long moment. Then he took the drone outside and smashed it until it was nothing but dust. He didn't care what that voice promised. He had already made his choice. Later that day, the mother did something strange. She placed her hand on the baby's head and began to hum. The baby glowed brighter, as if responding. Then the mother looked at Raymond and touched the floor with her finger. From her touch, a new hologram appeared. Not from the drone, but from her. It showed her home planet, full of life and color. Tall towers, floating bridges, children laughing in gravity-free playgrounds. Then the scene changed. Black ships appeared in the sky, the same shape as the drone, but larger. Lasers rained down, explosions lit the sky. Towers fell, and finally, a symbol appeared. A sharp black triangle, the same one she had carved into the wood that first night. Raymond understood. Her world had been attacked, her people hunted, and she had fled with her child. The last of her kind, maybe. Now they had followed her here, to Earth, and he was caught in the middle. The mother sat quietly, her eyes filled with old pain. She reached into her suit and pulled out a small glowing cube. She handed it to Raymond with shaking hands. He looked at it, unsure, then pressed the side. It showed another message, but this time from her, not spoken, but visual. It showed her running with her baby, hiding in an escape pod, pressing a button that showed coordinates. Earth's moon, then Earth. Her last hope. The cube blinked red. Low energy, almost out of power. Raymond set it down and looked around his small home. Wooden walls, a weak roof. A kitchen from the 1990s. It was not made to fight an alien war, but he had tools, old hunting gear, cameras, wires. He wasn't a soldier, but he could be clever. He had to be that night. Raymond moved everything around. He blocked the windows, set up tripwires and alarms. He placed metal pans near the doors to hear footsteps. The mother helped where she could, drawing maps, sharing signs of the enemy. They didn't speak the same language, but now they were speaking the same truth. As the baby slept, glowing softly in a blanket, Raymond stood by the door with a flashlight and an old hunting knife. He didn't know what was coming, but he knew it was close in the sky, just above the clouds. Something massive moved, invisible to satellites, watching, scanning, waiting. The first contact had been made, and it was only the beginning. The sound came at midnight, not from the sky, but from beneath the ground, a low, pulsing thrum, like something ancient waking up. Raymond shot out of bed, heart racing. The alien mother was already on her feet, baby in her arms. They both heard it. They both knew. The enemy had landed. Raymond stepped outside with a flashlight and saw it. Faint ripples across the soil. Something underground, moving closer, not digging, scanning. He didn't sleep that night. Instead, he opened the old storage shed behind the cabin. Dust rose as he pulled out boxes he hadn't touched in years. Hunting traps, car batteries, copper wire, cans of flammable spray. He wasn't a soldier, but he had been a survivor his whole life, and right now, that was enough. The alien mother watched quietly, holding her child. She understood what he was doing. She didn't try to stop him. Instead, she began drawing again, this time with more detail. She showed him the weak points of the enemy drones, where their armor was thin, where their sensors could be blinded. She pointed at one drawing, then at Raymond's lighter fire. Raymond smiled a little. "We think alike," he said. Later that morning, Raymond made a call, not to the police, not to the government. He called someone he hadn't spoken to in over 10 years, a friend, or maybe just an old enemy, who owed him a favor. Caleb answered with a sleepy voice. "What do you want, Ray?" Raymond took a deep breath. "I need your brain," he said, "and maybe you're crazy, too." 4 hours later, a loud engine rumbled up the dirt road. A rusted black truck pulled into the yard. Out stepped Caleb, a tall man with oil-stained boots, a beard like a bear, and a wild grin. "You weren't kidding," he said, looking at the broken drone pieces on the porch. Caleb didn't ask many questions. He just looked at the alien mother and baby, nodded once, and said, "All right, let's build a war." The two men spent the next 2 days turning the cabin into a fortress. They lined the walls with scrap metal, set traps in the woods, nets, spikes, sound bombs made from old speakers. Caleb even rigged the roof with pressure sensors. Raymond handled the house. Caleb handled the tech. The alien mother helped too. She used a crystal from her suit to power some of the traps. Her alien tech mixed with earth tools made something new, something dangerous. In the middle of it all, the baby started laughing. A soft, high giggle that filled the room. Raymond turned and smiled. Even with war coming, that sound gave him strength. That night, Caleb and Raymond sat on the porch, tired but alert. The mother was inside, feeding the baby. The stars above were quiet. Too quiet. Caleb sipped from a metal cup and said, "You ever think we'd be doing this?" Raymond chuckled. "Not even once." Caleb leaned forward, serious now. "You sure about this, Ray? You're risking your life for something that's not even human." Raymond didn't answer right away. He looked through the window at the child, tiny hands glowing in the dark. Then at the mother, still weak, but stronger now than when she arrived. "They cry the same," he said finally. "They fear the same, and they trust me." Caleb nodded slowly. "That's good enough for me." Suddenly, the alarms lit up. 3 red lights flashing on the panel. Movement. Fast. Raymond grabbed the knife from the table. Caleb picked up a steel pipe. They both looked into the woods, eyes sharp, but nothing came. Just silence again. The enemy was testing them. Waiting, watching, Raymond turned to Caleb. "We'll be ready, inside." The baby crawled into Raymond's lap and held onto his shirt. The mother sat beside them, resting her head against the wall. For the first time she looked peaceful. Raymond placed a hand on the baby's back, his voice calm but full of fire. They picked the wrong planet. In the sky, behind the clouds, a larger ship entered low orbit. Invisible to the world's satellites, but fully locked on target, the countdown had begun. Asterisk rain fell like bullets that night. Not gentle, not soft. It came fast and hard, as if the sky itself was warning them. Raymond stood in the doorway, soaked, gripping a metal pipe in one hand and a flashlight in the other. His eyes didn't blink, his feet didn't move. He was listening, waiting. Somewhere in the trees, branches cracked, not from the wind, from footsteps. Inside the cabin, the baby was quiet. Too quiet. The alien mother held it close, whispering soft notes in her strange tongue. Trying to keep it calm, she looked at Raymond with a question in her eyes. But he didn't answer. He didn't have to. They all knew tonight it was happening, from the roof. Caleb called out, "South tree line, movement." Raymond raised the flashlight and flashed it once, a signal. 3 red lights appeared in the darkness, floating like eyes then. A low hum, rising, twisting, metallic and alive. The enemy. Drones stepped into view, tall as men, legs like knives, arms that moved like spiders. Raymond took a deep breath. "They're here," he whispered. The first drone stepped into a trap. A wire pulled tight, lifting it into the air. Then a blast. A homemade firebomb lit it up. Sparks flying into the rain. The drone screamed, but not with sound. It was a signal. 3 more arrived from the north. One flew, scanning the cabin with a red beam. The alien mother pulled the baby behind a crate, holding her breath. Raymond and Caleb fought like madmen, not with advanced weapons, with shovels, fire, wires, rocks, and rage. One drone crashed through a window, metal arms reaching. Raymond tackled it, stabbing it in the eye with a screwdriver. It sparked and thrashed before going still. Another corner of the cabin exploded. They were breaching the walls. The alien mother stood tall, raising her hand. From her palm, a wave of blue energy blasted one drone back, slamming it into a tree. Raymond turned to her, shocked. "You have powers?" She nodded once, breath shaky. The baby began to cry again, but this time, not from fear, Its body started glowing, brighter than ever before. The sound it made was not a cry, it was a pulse. Every drone in the area paused, glitched, one by one. They dropped to their knees. The baby released a second wave, a pure tone that shook the air. Caleb shouted, "What the hell is happening?" Raymond didn't answer. He was watching something greater than war. The baby's eyes were wide open, glowing white. It had never been trained, never taught, but in that moment, its instinct awakened. It was more than a child. It was a key. The enemy drones retreated, stumbling, confused. Something about the baby's signal disrupted them, broke their code. Raymond stared in awe. This child wasn't just running from war. It was the reason for it. The mother collapsed to her knees. Exhausted, Raymond rushed to her side, helping her sit. What did it do? He asked. She placed a hand on her heart, then on the baby, then pointed upward. The message was clear. The baby's power could destroy them all, or save them. Caleb ran inside, bleeding from a cut on his head. "They're falling back," he said, panting. "But that ship in the sky, it's not moving, it's waiting." Raymond looked out the shattered window. Above the clouds, hidden from view, the main ship watched. It was deciding what to do next. Attack or retreat, destroy or fear. Raymond held the baby in his arms. Its glow now calm. He looked into its eyes and saw something strange, not alien. Hope. The last drone sparked one final time outside, then went dark. The forest fell into silence once more. Rain kept falling, washing away the blood, the oil, the fire, but not the memory, never the memory. The alien mother reached for her child. Raymond passed it to her, gently. They sat together, breathing slow. Shaking, alive, Caleb leaned on the wall, chuckling through the pain. "You know, Ray," he said, "you've got the weirdest life of anyone I know." Raymond didn't smile. He was staring at the night sky, waiting for the final move. Before sunrise, the sky cracked open with light. Not from the sun, but from space. High above Earth, the enemy ship had stopped hiding. Its metal surface glowed with red warnings. Its shape like a blade pointed at the planet, but it didn't move. It just watched. Raymond stood in the yard, holding a pair of binoculars he barely knew how to use. Beside him, the alien mother clutched her child. Now calm and glowing warm like a lantern in the fog, Caleb stepped out with a bandage on his arm and a cup of black coffee. So he said, "What now?" Raymond didn't answer right away. He was thinking about everything. A crying baby on his doorstep, a silent mother covered in wounds, machines that bled sparks and screamed with light, and a child who brought an army to its knees without saying a word. Now the world stood still, waiting for a decision. The alien mother touched the ground gently. She began drawing again. Not fear, not war, but something new. A circle. Inside it, 3 small figures standing side by side. A human, a mother, and a child. Raymond looked down and understood. This was no longer just survival. This was family. For the next few days they stayed in hiding. No new drones came. No more messages from the sky, only silence, until the sound of helicopters arrived. Not alien, human. 3 black choppers landed just beyond the trees. Soldiers stepped out, slow, alert, weapons raised. Raymond walked forward with his hands up, alone. "No threat here," he said. A woman in a suit stepped down from one of the choppers. She wore no armor, just a calm face and a voice that didn't shake. "We picked up signals from orbit," she said. "Big ones. We traced them back to your cabin." Raymond nodded. He told them everything. Not with big words, not with science, just the truth. He told them how an alien mother gave up everything to save her child. How the child had powers they didn't understand. How the enemies came, and how the baby pushed them back. The woman listened, carefully, then asked the most dangerous question. "Where is the child now?" Raymond took a deep breath, then said, "Safe, and staying that way." The woman looked past him and saw the mother standing at the window, baby in her arms. For a long moment, no one moved. Then, The woman lowered her tablet and said, "We're not here to harm them, but the world will want answers." Raymond crossed his arms. "They're not a problem," he said. "They're a second chance." Later that day, a deal was made, quiet, off the books, no labs, no cages, only protection, and a promise. The government wouldn't take the child, but they would watch. From a distance, weeks passed. The ship in orbit slowly drifted away. It didn't attack, it didn't return. Maybe it saw what it needed to see. Maybe it feared what the child could become. Raymond built a new room on the side of the cabin, one with stars painted on the ceiling and soft lights like little galaxies. The child, now stronger, began to speak, not in Earth's language, but in feelings, a soft glow, a hum, a pulse, and somehow everyone understood. The alien mother smiled more now. She no longer looked like a warrior. She looked like someone who had found home. One evening, while Raymond sat on the porch with the baby in his lap, the child looked up and said a single word, not in alien language, not copied, spoken in human voice. "Dad." Raymond didn't cry, but he held the child a little tighter and smiled at the stars above. The universe was wide, dangerous, and full of shadows. But in one small corner of Earth, under an old wooden roof, something stronger had taken root. Not power, not fear, but family, and sometimes that was enough to change everything.